Hello guys and welcome to my new video. Everyone is sleeping on RUBY Amethyst, but I'm glad you're here to check out my live deck profile on the #1 sleeper deck in the early Whispers in the Well meta. But before we dive into the deck, don't forget to subscribe for more Lorcana content. And now, have fun, let's go! Hello, we are here for my first live deck profile video for set 10, and I think I'm holding the sleeper deck #1 in my hands. And yeah, let's just go through all my card choices I made for my red purple list. Starting off with the 1-drops, I have 4 copies of Tinkerbell, 3 strength, 1 health, which is pretty good for 1-drop. So you can easily like turn her sideways quest out because she trades against almost all the 1-drop or 2-drop characters in the game right now, which is pretty good. So you can get out quite a few lore with Tinkerbell as a 1-drop. And if you're on the draw, Rafiki comes in handy because sometimes you need to fight back, and on the draw, Rafiki is a power horse. Challenger +3, 2 health is also okay because sometimes you challenge into a Daisy or whatever and then Rafiki just lives. And yeah, that's it for the 1-drop slots. I figured 8 1-drops is enough in this red purple list. You don't need more. I started building my list with 12, but this is too much, I think. But the sweet spot is like around 8 to 10 1-drops, I figured, which is okay. And on a 2-drop slot, starting off with Violetta, Saberwing. She's an inkable character, 3 strength, 1 health, quest for 1, and she has evasive. And you will see why I need evasive characters in this build, because in my build, I'm going on full evasive. We have so many evasive characters to have a huge payoff of Dumbo in the list, of course. Also new in the mix, the new Ruby Diablo 2-cost uninkable character, 3 strength, 3 willpower, quest for 2. He's a vanilla card, but he reminds me of the good old Mr. Smee days. And he's so good, and you can get so many lore out of him if you drop him on 2. And he has a good body, so pretty solid 2-drop for Ruby decks. And of course, he can't be missed. Lumiere is in the Ruby Amethyst deck. Inkable character, 2 strength, 2 willpower, quest for 1, and all your other characters gain +1 strength, which is pretty huge because you can boost up passively all your other characters. And in some games, you need the extra strength so you can trade up against better characters, stronger characters, and you never want to exert Lumiere quest with him because you want to protect him at any cost. You only exert him on quest with him if you can like quest safely, or you know there is some sort of removal coming the next turn and you can get the extra lore with him. But other than that, protect your Lumiere, boost up your characters, which is pretty strong. This is it for the 2-drop slot. On the 3-drop slot, I mentioned evasive characters, and that's where Peter Pan is coming in handy. New card from set 10, 1 strength, 3 willpower, quest for 2, and he is evasive as well. So you can go the full evasive route. 1-drop, then you drop Violetta on turn 2, Peter Pan in turn 3. And against so many decks, evasive characters can't be touched. Against most of the blue decks, they can touch evasive characters, so you can get out so many lore out of your evasive characters. And in my list also, I added 3 copies of Bronx. Some of you will say, oh, why do you need Bronx? Why do you play such a card? He's an inkable character. He's a gargoyle. He has 6 strength, 4 willpower. He is reckless. And he has the downside of all the gargoyles if you have 3 cards or more in hand. He doesn't ready at the start of your turn. But Bronx in all of my testing games was very solid against Amber Steel aggro Tiana decks, which are highly played, and a lot of people play Amber Steel aggro still at the beginning of this set. And this is where Bronx shines, because with the boost of Lumiere, he has 7 strength, and then yeah, you can kind of lock down Tianas, because with 7 strength, you don't have to pay the Tiana tax and can easily take Tiana out in one swing. And also trades up against more bigger bodies like like the big Clarabelle, John Silvers or stuff. So he is pretty huge. His downside is okay, if he is exerted, it doesn't matter because your opponent has to trade into him at some point. But I find him really helpful against this Amber Steel aggro matchup. And also in the 3-drop slot, the new Hermes, 4 copies of him in the deck. Inkable character, 3 strength, 3 willpower, quest for 1, and he has Rush. With Lumiere on the board, he has even 4 strengths. He reminds me of the good old Madame Mim, Fox Days, and sometimes Rush can come in handy because you have to take out a character immediately to not give your opponent more lore the next turn. So that's why Hermes is in the deck. And yeah, that's it for the 3-drop slot. We are moving those cards out of the way, and on the 4-drop slot, we're starting off strong. Of course, the card I still don't own, 4 copies of Dumbo. I'm using proxies here for all the cards I don't own in real life, but I want to show you all those cards. So I added this card with proxies in the deck, 4 copies of Dumbo. Of course, with all the evasive characters, you need Dumbo as a draw engine and gaining lore. And still, Dumbo is a huge powerhouse in this deck, in all the purple decks. And yeah, I think his price dropped pretty good the last couple days and weeks, and he's getting more affordable. So he's out of the 60 or 70 euros range, so he's more like the 30 to 40 euros now. I'm thinking of buying like a couple Dumbos maybe now, because I'm really starting to enjoy this Ruby Amethyst deck. Of course, also in the 4-drop slot, we have Genie in the mix. We all know him, we all love him. Uninkable character, 2 strength, 4 willpower, quest for 2, he has evasive, and when you play him, you can draw a card. And also have the payoff with Dumbo in the mix, so you can use his evasive ability later in the game. That's it for the 4-drop slot. So the 4-drop slot isn't that crowded because I wanted to focus on like 3 drops or later in the game the top end cards in this deck. They are so strong, and we get to them in a second. Starting off with the 5-drop characters, the new Headless Horseman. And this is a card I think a lot of people are sleeping on because he's so good. He's like a mini big Sisu with only 5 cost. He's an uninkable character, 4 strength, 2 willpower, quests for 2. When you play this character, you can banish an opposing character with 2 strength or less. And every time during your turn, the second ability is what I really like about him. Every time during a turn, whenever an opposing character is banished, all your other characters gain +1 strength as well. So he's like another Lumiere. So like if you have Lumiere on board, play the Headless Horseman. His banish also counts as banish an opposing character, so you can boost up all your characters even more, and that's what I like about him. So you can make a super Rafiki, whatever. You can boost up all your characters, and I really like him. He's a spot removal for all those aggro decks like Tianas. You can remove Daisies and Genies, of course. So many cards you can remove with him, and I really like him. And I think, as I said, like a lot of people are sleeping on the Headless Horseman in Ruby decks, and he's pretty strong, and I really like him. And the 2 lore, yeah, you can't ignore that, because the next turn he can quest for 2 also, and with his 4 strength he trades up against most characters in the decks played right now. And of course, I also run the 5 cost Elsa, not many words needed. Inkable character, 2 strength, 5 health, quest for 1. She has rush, evasive, and when you play her, you can exert an opposing character. So you can either then take him out with Elsa or another character you already have on board, which is pretty good. And with Lumiere in the mix, of course, you can get her up to 3 strength. You can, for example, exert an opposing Dumbo and take him out in 1 swing with Elsa. Also in the 5-drop slot, 4 copies of the new legendary Hades. And some say he's bad, but in testing he really shined. He has a very interesting ability. When you play him, you choose an opposing character and your opponent can decide if he puts it under the deck, or you can draw 2 cards if he doesn't put it under the deck. In 95% of the times when I played Hades, he drew me 2 cards, which is pretty strong, but at the time of 5 ink, you usually have like only 1 or 2 cards in hand if you didn't find a genie or card draw elsewhere. So Hades comes in clutch for refilling your hand cards, and if your opponent has like a single target on board, yeah, sometimes it's removal also. So he's like a double-edged sword, and I really like Hades in this deck for refilling your hand, and his 3 strength, 4 willpower body is also very, very good. And also on the 5 card slot, I added 2 copies of Dragonfire. Sometimes you face characters you can't directly remove or remove with challenging. So for like the big Prince Philip, the 6/6 evasive character, you can use those Dragonfires for Maleficent Dragons, for some Hades, for every character you can't remove in another way. There is Dragonfire, and it comes in handy because it's easy to get to 5 ink, and you can afford it to take like a turn off for just doing spot removal with your Dragonfire, and I really like it. So this is it for the 5 drop slot. We're moving those cards on the side as well. I have 2 more cards in this stack, and starting off with the 6 drop Demona, inkable character, 5 strength, 6 health, quests for 2. And when you play this character, you can exert all opposing characters, and then each player, also your opponent, with fewer than 3 hand cards, can draw up until having 3 cards in hand again. So you can refill your hand and also refill the hand of your opponent. I think it's not the best card against an aggro deck, because at the time of 6 ink, you usually, aggro decks, they don't have many cards in hand, and you don't want to refill them so they can drop more characters on you. But in some situations, if you like have a board established, some characters ready to challenge, Demona comes in clutch, because you can gain past ward characters, exert them, and then you can take him out with your ready characters. So Demona is pretty good, and also her body is insane. 5/6 is really hard to get over, and you can't ignore the 2 lore as well. Yeah, Demona is a very, very strong card in this deck, and with the boost of Lumiere or the Headless Horseman, yeah, she is pretty strong in challenging as well. And the last card in this build is the 9 drop Maleficent Dragon, back to set 1 OG card, inkable character, 7 strength, 5 willpower, quests for 2, and he's a Dragonfire on a stick, a very big stick actually. You can remove a character of your choice. So getting to 9 ink, some will say, okay, it's very hard to gain to 9 ink, but with all the blue decks around, I think with Hades, with Into the Unknown, or cards like that, or Spooky, now in all the blue decks, or in a lot of blue decks, you have no problem gaining to 9 ink and playing your Maleficent Dragon. And in those matchups, you don't get to 9 ink, you just ink him. And it's easy ink against aggro decks, for example. I really like Maleficent Dragon, and there were so many games I had 9 ink available Maleficent Dragon in my hand, and it was an easy play to remove a character on the opposing side. So yeah, moving all those cards aside as well, this is basically my Ruby Amethyst list going into week number 2 of the new Whispers in the Well meta. And I think it's a deck everyone is sleeping it. You can see it on the screen right now, the whole deck list. You will find a link in the video description below. But before we end the video here, I will show you some tech options you could slot in your Ruby Amethyst deck and can be really interesting in a Ruby Amethyst build. For example, the new 4-drop legendary Hercules, 5 strength, 3 willpower, quests for 2. He doesn't get any damage except he's being challenged, and as long as he's exerted, all your hero characters don't get damaged except for being challenged. So if you decide to play Hercules in the mix, you maybe like cut down a little bit on the Headless Horseman or the Dragonfire, and add some more heroes into the deck, like the 3-drop Sisu. Yeah, because we don't have many heroes in this deck right now, but you have to like add more hero characters to have huge payoff of characters. And against steel decks, he really shines because he can't be touched by steel damage removal. And usually, yeah, he is a 2-for-1 because you can take him out. He doesn't take damage when he challenges himself, only when he gets challenging. So Hercules is pretty good tech if you're facing a lot of steel decks, but then you have to make some changes in other deck slots. What else do we have for tech? The Elsa package. I have the Elsa package here, the 3-drop Elsa, the new one drawing you a card, and of course the legendary 8-cost Elsa you can shift on with 6 ink. The 3-drop Elsa draws you a card in turn 3, so you can like cut down on the evasive package a little bit and switch out your Peter Pans for Elsa for drawing cards in turn 3, and then have the shift available with 6 ink, the big Elsa freezing up 2 opposing characters and questing for 3, which is pretty huge, and her 4th strength 6 body is also pretty okayish, but you have to cut some cards to add this Elsa package into the deck. If you want to play around with your 1-drop characters, if you're facing a lot of blue decks, the Palace Guard comes in handy. Maybe you change it up against Rafiki, because the Palace Guard is pretty good against blue decks, because they usually don't do much the first 2 or 3 turns, and you can gain out pretty much like 2 lore, 3 lore, maybe 4 lore against blue decks with the Palace Guard. The only downside is he has Vanish, so if you target him by a spell, an action or song, he gets banished immediately. And the last tech card I have for you is the new Cheshire Cat, 3-drop inkable character. It's a whisper character, so you can boost him. He has 3 strength, 4 willpower, quests for 1, and whenever you put a card under Cheshire Cat, so in turn 3 you can play Cheshire Cat, in turn 4 you can boost him the first time, for example. You can move 2 damage markers from one character to a chosen opposing character. So he's like a mini Bell, questing for only 1, but you can use his ability multiple times during the game, only once per turn. But still, if you're facing a lot of steel decks, I think Cheshire Cat can be a very interesting tech. You might get rid of Bronx then for Cheshire Cat to not lose that much characters in the 3-drop slot. I really liked Cheshire Cat in my early testing, but now I'm really sold on Bronx in the 3-drop slot. So yeah, that's it for the tech cards I can recommend you add up to your red purple list. If you like this video, don't forget to give a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, I'm always happy about new subscribers, so hit subscribe. In the video description you find the link to the deck list. Yeah, that's it for today. There will be more deck lists and live deck profiles coming throughout set 10, because I really enjoy some decks and I want to showcase them for you. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Flokki.